Hello, everyone. I am Maddox Brown with New England MMA News, and I'm here with Kat Jenkins. How you doing, Kat?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today.
Uh, Thank you for coming on the show. Since you're new to the show, we're gonna start with how you got into the sport of MMA. So, how did you get into the sport?
Absolutely. So I got into doing MMA originally as a self-improvement and for self-defense. I had no intentions originally of competing. I didn't think that that would be something that I would be good enough for or have an interest in. And really what happened is I trained for many years in kickboxing, and my coach approached me and said that I had a talent, and if I was interested, he would love to coach me and see where that would go in the MMA ring.
How did you find your current gym in Young's MMA?
So I'd heard great things about Young's from several different people who had either participated in the gym themselves or had children in part of their programs. And it is in Bangor, which is a city very close to me. So after hearing all the recommendations, I decided to go and give it a try. And it's been such a great experience. I just kind of always stayed, and they've become my home.
So, now we're gonna get into your upcoming fight. You're fighting Lindsay Kelly at NEF 61 for the NEF Women's Featherweight title. Can you give us your thoughts on this fight and how you see it playing out for you?
So I'm really excited about this fight. Of course, like it's a big challenge as I'm, as you said, fairly new to MMA, but I foresee it being a really good fight for both of us. I think we have really good um, how would you say, skills that complement each other. So I think we'll be able to put on a really great show and be able to hopefully go the distance as it's a 5 round fight. I've been training, really hard to make sure that I can live up to the level of competition this is going to be. She has a lot more experience than I do, but I have a lot of grit. So I think that this will be a war to remember.
Considering that it is a 5 round fight, have you switched up your camp a little bit so you could keep that cardio for those 5 rounds?
Definitely. I wouldn't say that it's been hugely different because I always train to the max for every fight. But of course, we've definitely made sure that we've taken that into consideration. Coach Chris Young is really amazing at making, a plan and making sure that you're prepared for whatever fight you're going into. So I've left the strategy for him, and I show up every day and just give it my best.
Have you if you have watched any tape on her, have you seen any weaknesses in her game?
I have actually not watched any tape recently. I have seen her fight once before, but that was several years ago. So I cannot say that I have identified weaknesses necessarily, but like I said, Coach Young has made a plan, and we're definitely tailoring my training accordingly. So hopefully it's a good plan, and we're going to find out here in 2 weeks.
What do you think your keys to victory will be in this fight?
I think, like every fight, it comes down to mindset, you know, uh, making sure that I'm mentally prepared going into this, that this is going to be a hard fight and it's whoever wants it more. So, a battle of wills and a test for warriors to see who's going to go the distance, who's going to not give up, and like I said, who wants it more.
So at Young's, who have been some of your key training partners for this camp?
A couple of my key training partners have been both John Susi and Jay Byron. They have been amazing training partners for me for this one. I've also traveled a little bit. I've been lucky enough to go down to the academy in Portland once and attend some of their classes and train with Bree briefly. So, but I would say John and Jay have been two of my really key partners for this camp.
What do you think this fight will do for your career moving forward?
It's definitely a very exciting, turning point here. Like this is a pretty high profile fight for somebody who's so new at this. So I think it'll be a great like springboard to decide whether it'll be time to turn pro, whether somebody wants to challenge me for the title. So I think it'll definitely be a good point for me to like take a step back and like really consider where it is I want to go with this and what my goals are.
So from your first couple fights, how do you think they've helped you prepare for this fight?
I think the biggest thing from my previous fights is each one has given me like a new level of experience. Like my first one was definitely very much an intro fight. And then I'd say my second one was definitely because especially like it was at a higher weight class. That one was definitely a very like grit and determination fight. And then this last one has given me a better insight into having a like little bit more of a skilled opponent and like playing more of the strategy game. So I feel like each one has been a very significant building block in me getting to a point where I'm starting to have my own style, especially as like I've been at this for about 12 months. So it's been kind of a wild ride. So each one has been very important, I think, in me fully getting to understand and work through the different phases of what it means to be an MMA fighter.
Do you have one final message to Lindsay Kelly before you guys get locked in the cage together?
I would just say that I am looking forward to facing off with her. And I've been putting in the work and I'm hope that she has as well because this is going to be a knockdown drag out and I really want to go to war and make this one count.
So even though you've had a short career so far, can you share the most memorable moment of it?
I would say that one of the most memorable moments for me was actually I made a post after my last fight and I called it Ugly Joy. And I would say that was just a very memorable key moment for me where I got to have an emotional and just really like almost out of body experience where like I was able to like quantify and feel all the emotions of like what it means to be an MMA fighter, all the behind the scenes that nobody sees, all of those missed family moments, the drive, determination, and just that like real community that a team makes. Even though this is a solo sport, like there are so many people behind me, and just to like it was just an amazing moment. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. Like win or learn, as I always say. Like, being a fighter is so much more than that moment in the cage.
To any fans that haven't seen you yet that are coming to the Portland Expo on February 8th, what should they expect from you?
They should expect to see a warrior doing her best. I'll be there for them. I'll be there for me. It's going to be a great show, and I'm looking forward to showing them what it means to be a warrior woman.
If you could compare yourself to any animal, what animal would it be and why?
What animal would I be? Let's see here. I would say that everybody always wants to say they're like a tiger or something like that, but I would say I definitely probably tend more towards like a golden retriever. I love people, but when the chips are down, I will be there, be loyal, and I will protect my family.
If you could fight anyone in the world, past or present, who would it be and why?
Let's see. I think I would say I would fight Adolf Hitler for the good of everyone.
Who is one person from Young's that you would go into a zombie apocalypse with?
Absolutely, my coach, Chris Young. We would make a kick-ass team in defending and surviving the apocalypse, I think.
Do you have a favorite New England regional fighter currently?
Well, that's hard because I would say Glory Watson has been a huge inspiration for me, and I know she's technically on hiatus right now. So if I had to choose a second, I would say Bree is definitely also a huge inspiration for me.
So, speaking of inspirations, who do you think your biggest inspiration is in the sport of MMA?
My biggest inspiration, I would say, is again my coach, Chris Young. He's just a very inspiring person, and like his level of skill in both like working with fighters and just his knowledge of the sport is really amazing.
Do you have any special shout outs to sponsors, supporters, and teammates before I let you go?
I would absolutely like to do a shout out just to thank all of my teammates. They've been so incredible for this camp. Like, I'm the only one from my gym currently in camp, but they're showing up day after day. So Jay and of course John and Kira and Glory and the whole team at Young's, I really appreciate them. And then all of my sponsors. I have Young's MMA, of course, behind me, my personal trainer, Buff Body with Ben, and there are so many more, but like without those guys, I wouldn't be here today. So I appreciate all of them.
All right. Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.